Good morning. Okay, the nervous system is something we have enormous control over, especially when we apply yogic techniques. But I want to give you a little bit of an anatomy lesson about your nerves. There are 700 trillion nerves, and all of those nerves contain nerve cells called neurons. There are billions of them. And we have a few branches of the nervous system that, again, I just want it, I don't want it to be complicated, but we actually need to be, and this is the key, to balance our parasympathetic and our sympathetic nervous system, to be able to seamlessly flow through being alert, being active, getting it done. There's a bit of stress, and then being able to be calm. And it's interesting because there's no doubt about it. My Wednesdays are busy with teaching a couple of classes and wanting to give you some information that is useful and pertinent, and just getting it all done with the rest of what I need to do in my life. And of course, as I said in my note, you look at if you're watching the baseball, or it doesn't matter, if you're busy in your own life, you know what it takes. Your heart rate, increases, you're a little more alert. That's your sympathetic nervous system. That's your fight or flight. That's important. You're driving a car. In fact, I love the analogy. If you're going to have a smooth trip to wherever you want to be, it involves both a gas pedal and a brake pedal, right? You got to know when to step on the gas, and you got to know when to slow down. So just so we get an idea of what our nervous system is actually comprised of, there is a central nervous system that is controlling your brain and your spinal cord. And then there's a peripheral nervous system, and that's everything else. That's all the rest of your tissues. Within the peripheral nervous system, and peripheral means the outside, so not your brain, not your spinal cord, is the autonomic nervous system. And inside of the autonomic nervous system is the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. So the parasympathetic is your rest and digest, and your sympathetic is move, your fight or flight. Now, yoga exerts a powerful influence on our entire nervous system, but it has immediate benefits to what we're calling this peripheral nervous system, which includes your involuntary functions like breathing. You're going to breathe whether you think about it or not. And then walking, you have to think about that. So that is your voluntary and your involuntary. And we don't want the sympathetic nervous system to be on all the time. So I am known to be, as anybody who knows me, I'm pretty hyper, pretty active, but I also don't have too much trouble calming myself down. And I can be thankful to yoga techniques for doing that, for knowing how. And I will explain some of these in conclusion to this class. But suffice to say, every breath we take in activates our fight or flight, our sympathetic nervous system. Every breath we take in. Every breath we exhale activates our parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest. That's balance. Now, sometimes we forget to exhale. We hold our breath. We don't, or we exhale just a little bit, or maybe we don't even breathe in fully. But in yoga, I've said it many times, if you can make your exhalation at least as long as your inhalation, you will be in a better state of alertness, awareness, groundedness, calmness, and perhaps more important than anything else, presence. Being present. One of the ways that I notice within my family are people asking about Christmas in July. Living in the future, like trying to organize something, please. So, you know, and God bless them, because we need people who organize and think ahead and all the rest of it. But when you see that person with their shoulders up around their ears, most of the time, you know that they're not really like just able to let go. And the last thing I'll say, and I've known this for decades, 75% of general practitioners, doctors, will tell you that most disease, 75% of it, starts with stress. So I can't underline enough that you, as you know, yoga students, long time, many of you, you have the techniques. If you practice them, you will find yourself with the tools and the ability to really nourish your nervous system and thereby reduce the chance for disease. And I like to say that dis-ease is a lack of ease. That's what it is. There's some lack of ease somewhere in your bodies. So when we, and I just want to say this other thing too, and we're going to spend another class talking about the vagus nerve. Because the vagus nerve runs from your brain to your gut, but it's really present in the throat and in the diaphragm, that by calmly breathing, and there are two that we can do, and I'd like you to think about doing this, the Ujjayi breath today while we're practicing. So, and maybe while you're sitting up right now, we could just remind ourselves, and then throughout the practice, I will remind you again if you can, it's a narrowing of the back of the throat. If you were to try to create that fog on your mirror, you'd go, or what you do to your eyeglasses when you're trying to clean them. There's a narrowing and there's an aspirant sound in your throat, but you are going to breathe through your nose. So just for a moment, you know, it's called victorious breath. It is the breath of victory. It is alkalizing to your body as opposed to acidic. This is another thing that I'd like to bring up in another class, because when our blood is mostly alkaline, basically 2/3 alkaline, 1/3 acid, I am told by good authority, you can't get cancer, you can't get arthritis. These are two chronic problems in our Western society with our lifestyles. So with Ujjayi breathing, if you think about just get that feeling in your throat when you go ha, and then just close your eyes for a moment and see if you can connect with Ujjayi breath. So you're breathing through your nose, and you mostly hear that sound on the exhale. You'll hear it on the inhale too, but you don't want the Darth Vader. You just want that, maybe that sound of the conch shell when you put it to your ear that sounds like the ocean. So that's, if you know, and don't stress, please, if you can't get the Ujjayi breath going. But if you can, and consider practicing that today. So let's just come down onto our backs. We always kind of warm up the lower back. Take your feet, probably not to the edge of the mat, but depending on your own size and how you're feeling, with your feet close or perhaps at the edge of the mat and your arms out to the side, just drop both knees over to the left. Don't worry about going to the floor right now. And then come back to the center and drop both knees over to the other side and into the center. So you're windshield wiping your knees, essentially. Back to the center on an inhale, maybe Ujjayi. Exhale, knees over to the other side. So you're just gently windshield wiping, warming up the lower back the hips, the thighs, especially your IT band. Do this on your own breath. Inhaling to the center, exhaling to the sides. Inhaling to the center, exhaling to the sides. And one more time on each side. And then coming back to the center, draw the right knee into the chest, extend the left leg down in front, and then with your left hand, take your right knee over to the right side. So a little more intense stretch through the hip, through the glutes, your butt muscle, 3 large gluteus muscles. Just hold here for a moment, breathing, if you can, in Ujjayi breath. Stimulating the vagus nerve. There are lots of parasympathetic nerve fibers running through your vagus nerve. So when we stimulate the vagus nerve, which is one of the pairs of the 12 cranial nerves, this has an almost instant calming effect on your body and your mind. Noticing if there's any release through the hip, through the thigh. Inhaling, come back to the center. And let's draw the opposite knee up and extend the right leg down in front. Take your right hand to the outside of your left knee and draw it across your body, exerting a moderate amount of pressure with your right hand to help the hip, the thigh, and the glutes release stress and tension. Continuing with your Ujjayi breathing. I'm just going to get up and add a little bit of heat because maybe I turned it down too much. The floor is kind of cool. So again, maintaining a little bit of pressure to assist the body in releasing and letting go. As I said last week, there's no question about one of the purposes of the physical practice of yoga is about undoing some of the knots, releasing the tension, the stress, being mindful, focusing while you're practicing, focusing while you're doing anything at all, single tasking rather than multitasking. All of these are aspects of facilitating the activation of your rest and digest, your parasympathetic nervous system. Inhale, coming back to center. And now find a block or cushion, whichever. We're going to do a supported bridge pose. So you're going to have your knees bent, your heels lining up with your sits bones. Take your block or your cushion. You can place it horizontally across your sacrum. So this will be below your waist, but place it in a spot where you feel that you can really let go, let your body just hang out in a supported bridge pose. Lift your shoulder blades off the floor tucking them underneath your heart center, tilting your chin towards the center of your chest to elongate your cervical vertebra. Arms are beside your body. Now here's an opportunity, rather than having your palms face down, which if we were doing an active bridge, you would, because this is a supported bridge, let your arms move a little bit further away from your body. Let the palms of your hands face up so that your shoulders are resting on your mat. Your feet are flat on the mat. And you're just breathing. Again, ujjayi breath, if you wish. In fact, with your throat area slightly compressed, you may find it a little easier to get in touch with your ujjayi breathing. Notice any tension in your jaw. Separate the biting surfaces of the teeth. Perhaps your lips are slightly coming apart, but if you're not plugged, do continue to breathe through your nose. So most of our stress starts between our ears, and it's our brain, the hypothalamus in particular, that sends messages to the adrenals. The adrenals are tiny little endocrine glands that sit on top of the kidneys. They're only about the size of a peanut, but they are the gland that produces most of the hormones that are necessary to activate our fight or flight, our sympathetic nervous system. And a healthy nervous system includes the balancing of activating the sympathetic appropriately and giving yourself the time, the space, the love, the respect that our bodies deserve by ensuring that our parasympathetic nervous system is also being activated appropriately. So take a couple more deep breaths here in our supported bridge. This is just a slight inversion, allowing some of the blood to be relocated in the body. And just lying on the ground allows earth telluric energy to also gently stimulate, energize the body. And now gently remove your block, lowering your torso back down onto the mat. Draw one knee up into your chest, draw your second knee up, place your hands on your shins, and let's just do some gentle rocking from side to side and perhaps circular motions on your back. And change the direction. And then bring your knees, your thighs, your ankles, your calves together. Have your legs at right angles so that the upper part of your leg is perpendicular to your torso. The lower part of your leg is perpendicular to the upper part. And then press the small of your back into the floor. Have your arms out at the side, shoulder height. Feel your core engaging here. And I want you to keep your core engaged as you inhale in place, exhale. Keep your thighs, your knees, and your feet glued together as you slowly, with control, release them over to the left side. Doesn't matter if they touch the floor. Try to keep your opposite shoulder on the mat. Inhaling, coming back to center. Keep your core engaged. The slower you go, the more you're engaging your muscles. Exhaling, both knees over to the other side. This activates the core muscles, including the obliques, which they thought was what George Springer may have sprained, torn, don't know, when he was trying to hit that home run the other night. Inhaling, coming back together. And one more time, with control. Feel your core activated. If you can't feel it activated, take a moment to pause, draw your navel in towards your spine, and then release both knees glued together over to the left. And please forgive me if you're not a baseball fan. It's not important. It's a nice diversion, though, from other things. And what the heck? You got to be passionate about something. And I think the more passions we have, the more alive we feel. Inhale, come back to the center. And exhale, both knees over to the other side. And should you get stuck in an elevator with people you don't know, you'll have more things to talk about if you're passionate. Hopefully you don't get stuck in an elevator. Take the steps, more exercise. And inhale, coming back to the center. And now you can either roll over onto your side or place your hands underneath the backs of your thighs and rock up to a seated position. And then come on over onto all fours for cat and cow. Bring your knees underneath your shoulders, your hands underneath, your knees are underneath your hips, and your hands are underneath your shoulders. Your fingers are spread wide apart, your middle finger pointing forward, thumbs almost pointing towards one another. Your fingers should be active here. Lengthen your spine from tailbone right through the crown, and on an exhale, round your spine, pull your bellies in, tuck your chin and drop your tail. Feel your belly, your core activated. On an inhale, curl your toes under and begin to reverse the position of your spine by hollowing out your lower back. Draw your heart center forward and let there be a nice curve through the neck. Eyes open or closed, rolled up towards your third eye. Exhale, flatten the tops of your feet, round your spine, pull your bellies in. Inhale, curl your toes under, hollow out your lower back, draw your heart center forward, rounding through your cervical neck vertebra. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Draw your heart center forward to lengthen the spine, lengthen through the thoracic. Last time, flatten the tops of the feet, coming into cat. And curl your toes under. Hollow out your lower back. Draw your heart center forward, lengthening as you round. Coming back to neutral. Let's inhale, sweep the right arm up, reaching, stretching up. Exhale, thread the needle, reach the arm under the other hand, releasing your shoulder and the side of your face to the floor. And if you wish, tippy-toe the fingers of the other arm straight out in front. So twist positions are excellent too for supporting organs and glands, getting blood into those necessary organs and glands. Because when we're in our sympathetic nervous state, let's draw the arm that we may have put out in front to press back up, and I'll continue in a moment. Inhale, reach the other arm up, twisting. Exhale, thread the needle, reaching through. So when we're in our sympathetic nervous system, the blood is being shunted to the skeletal system so we can run, fight, flight, and then tippy-toe the fingers perhaps of the other arm out if it feels okay, and if it doesn't, just draw it back in and hold it there. And that means when we're in our fight or flight sympathetic nervous system, the blood is going to the extremities, all the muscles of the arms, including the heart, but nothing's going towards digestion, which is key. So if we're in a chronic state of stress, we can find we may have high blood sugar, we'll definitely have higher blood pressure, hypertension, because the hormones of cortisol, adrenaline, and norepinephrine will constrict the blood vessels and divert the blood away from necessary organs. And draw that hand back in, and then take your knees wide apart. Big toes touch, flatten the tops of the feet, and take your hips back towards your heels. So the adrenals, which I mentioned, and I just want to make this clear, the three hormones that they release, cortisol, adrenaline, and norepinephrine. Cortisol actually is very active in our bloodstreams when we wake up in the morning. It helps us be alert. So it's a good thing. These are not bad hormones. It's just when we have too much of them, they're out of balance. So cortisol increases the glucose in the bloodstream, and that's for brain function and tissue repair. Adrenaline, we all know, increases heart rate, blood pressure, and blood sugar. Now, norepinephrine is what constricts the blood vessels and works with the adrenaline, because when the blood vessels are constricted, that's when it helps to increase the heart rate, the blood pressure, and blood sugar. Bottom line is, if we're too stressed out, not relaxed enough, this can lead to weight gain, it can lead to diabetes, it can lead to heart disease, and it goes on and on and on. So we really need to be conscious and aware of our stress levels and what is getting on our nerves. And then inhale, coming up, draw the knees together, curl the toes under, walk your hands back. Just spend a moment here hanging out in Uttanasana. Now, if you find yourself feeling a little bit dizzy or, then just place your hands on your knees, your thighs, and just do a half Uttanasana. Ardha means half. But if you're okay with your knees bent, your belly resting on your thighs, and just doing this very easy inversion, letting the blood flow into the brain region. And then pressing the soles of your feet into the floor. Let's slowly roll up one vertebra at a time, keeping your chin tucked into your chest and letting your head be the last thing to come up. And then bring your shoulders up to your ears. Exhale, roll them back, and just spend a moment in Tadasana, mountain pose. Look at the outsides of your feet. Allow them to be parallel to the outsides of your mat. So every once in a while, I catch myself and my feet are kind of like this, and it's no big deal. But For alignment purposes, helping you to keep your body relaxed. When we're in better alignment, the body doesn't have to work as hard. So we can be calmer. Lifting up on your thighs, your kneecaps to engage your thighs. Lift your sternum away from your pelvic floor. Pull your armpits down. Let your chin float horizontal, parallel to the floor. And imagine there's a butterfly pulling a little strand of hair from the top of your head. So you're reaching your crown up. You're lengthening through your torso, feeling fully rooted and grounded, like a big old strong tree. So from here, we're going to move into half sun salutation. So you don't need to move your feet. You're going to inhale, sweep the arms up, turn the palms out, bend your knees, drop your hips, release your torso, if not your chest, onto your thighs. Tense your fingers on the mat. On an inhale, lift your hips up, straighten your legs as much as you can, and let the crown of your head float down. Exhale, bend your knees, sink your hips, lengthen your spine, shoulders back. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up, palms together. Exhale, turn the palms out, float your arms down, taking up lots of space. Nice. Inhale. Exhale. Tense your fingers on the mat. Inhale, lift your hips. Keep your belly on your thighs. Let the crown float down. Exhale, bend your knees, drop your hips, shoulders back, long spine. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, turn the palms out and float your arms down. Inhale. Exhale. You can practice Ujjayi breathing if you like. Tense your fingers. Please let the crown of your head float down as you shine your tailbone up. Exhale, bend your knees, drop your hips, draw your shoulders away from your ears and lengthen your spine. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up. Exhale, float your arms down, taking up lots of space. 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, activating sympathetic nervous system. Exhale, activating parasympathetic nervous system. Inhale, sympathetic. Exhale, parasympathetic. We can start to become very aware which system we're in. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Inhaling up. Let the crown of your head float down though. Exhaling, releasing your hips, bending your knees a lot. Push your shoulders back, lengthen your spine. Inhale, floating up. Exhale, float down. And returning to Tadasana, mountain pose. Lift your toes off the floor. Feel your big toe mount, your baby toe mount, the center front of your heel. You can lay your toes down gently. Shoulders back, armpits down. Let your chin float horizontal, parallel to the floor. And breathe. Thighs are engaged. Sternum is lifted. Shoulder blades down your back. And maybe a little Buddha smile on your face. Nice. At any time, of course, take a sip of water. And then bringing your feet closer together. What a beautiful day. Oh my gosh. I know it's not lost on anybody. Good weather makes for a better day. Okay, so big toes touching, but your heels are just slightly apart. Or if that's not comfortable, just bring your feet just a little bit closer together. Inhale, sweep the arms up, interlock your fingers, but release your pointer and bring your arms right beside your ears. Let's engage the thighs. Let's feel fully rooted and grounded through the soles of the feet. Inhale, lengthening, arms beside the ears. You're going to exhale to the left. Exhaling. Inhaling to center, lengthening, axial extension. Exhale laterally, stretching to the other side. Inhale back to the center. We're going to go one more time back to the first side. Inhale first, exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale to the center, and then let your head drop back first. Then bring your arms back. So really visualize your body lengthening here as you open and expand the front of the body. And then inhale, release your hands. Exhale, let's hinge from the hips, aka tops of legs, reaching forward. Now, if your fingertips can touch the floor without bending your knees, go for it. But if you need to bend your knees, bend them, it's okay. Please let the crown of your head point towards the floor in order to relax your cervical neck vertebra, allowing the weight of your head to stretch out the vertebra, creating space for your gelatinous discs between each vertebra. On an inhale, come halfway up and place your hands on the front of your shins. Lengthen your spine, draw your bellies in. This activates your core. So you're creating a line of energy from the tailbone along the spine, right out through your crown. Exhale, forward fold. Please let your heads hang. We're going to come into Utkatasana, horseman's pose or chair pose. So you're going to bend your knees. You're going to transfer more of your weight into the heels, backs of your feet, and then staying in this chair-like pose with knees bent. Inhale, sweep the arms forward. Arms can be up by your ears, but if that's not comfortable for your shoulders, then just keep your arms at shoulder height. And then sit as much as you can. Please have your knees behind your toes. So just a simple gaze down will inform you. Sitting as much as you can. Weight will be in the back of your feet. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come halfway up, placing your hands on the front of your shins, lengthening your tailbone. Lengthening from tailbone right through the crown. So you're lengthening your spine. Exhale, forward fold, fingertips to the floor. Bend your knees. And one more, horseman's pose, Utkatasana, arms beside the ears. Take a quick look down that you can see your toes in front of your knees. Sitting as low as you can. And one more time, coming forward. Let's bend the right knee. Bend the right knee. Place your right hand on your left instep. Inhale, sweep the other arm up, twisting and turning. This adds rejuvenation, extra blood supply to the 32 pairs of nerves in your spinal column. Exhale, release the arm down, and let's bend the other leg, placing your opposite hand on the instep of the straight leg. Inhale, sweep the other arm up, reaching up and stretching up. And float your arms down, bend your knees, and let's come down into a seated posture. I was looking for chalk, but if anybody needs a strap for forward movement, maybe you all got one. It looks like some of you did, or a belt. And then pull, so arms are straight out in front, pull the flesh away from your sits bones, and just spend a moment sitting up tall in Dandasana. Flex the soles of your feet, place the heels of your hands right next to your hips. So just close your eyes for a moment and notice how much effort this takes just to sit up straight. And then inhale, sweep the arms up, reaching up, stretching up, lengthening. Exhale, come into a half forward fold. Just halfway. And then inhale, reach and stretch. If you have the strap and you want to wrap it around the soles of your feet, depending on your flexibility and the length of your legs, the length of your arms, exhale, forward fold. Now, if you can, if you don't have the strap and you want to reach the outsides of your feet or your big toe with your peace fingers, whatever you prefer. What I would prefer for all of us is that in our forward fold, we're not rounding our spine. We are keeping the spine nice and long, lengthening. So it doesn't matter how far you go. Consider lengthening your spine. And whatever you're using for leverage, whether it's a strap or your hands, maybe you're grabbing your calves, doesn't matter. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Again, if you wish to continue with your Ujjayi breathing, alkalizing the body, relaxing the nervous system. Forward folds are because we're folding forward and reducing our outward senses of seeing. It's kind of closing up just a little bit, like a little crab or a turtle pulling its head in. So these are quieting for the mind, although I get that if a forward bend is hard on your body, then just come back a bit. Don't make it hard on yourself. There's enough things in life that are difficult. We don't want our yoga practice to create stress. We do want to help it increase the amount of energy by releasing stress and tension, by encouraging better blood circulation, as well as the release of waste and toxins. Now, walk your hands up your leg, and let's come back to Dandasana with your hands beside your hips. And just become aware of how this staff pose, Dandasana, feels compared to the first one we took. So stretching those hamstrings, stretching out the lower back. I would like to do this just one more time. If you can close your eyes in your practice, you're sitting down, so it's safe to close your eyes. Inhale, sweep the arms up, flex your feet, lift out of your waist, lead with your hearts, lengthen your spine, either using a strap or your hands to create a little bit of leverage to lift the heart, lengthen the spine, lower the shoulders, and breathe. So every inhale, consider lengthening, and maybe it's just a thought. And on every exhale, consider the idea that you might lower maybe another millimeter or not. You can just visualize yourself lengthening on an inhale, and on an exhale, perhaps closing the gap a little bit more. Not necessary at all. But just an idea to give your mind something to do while you may be thinking you ate too much breakfast and there's pressure on your belly, or maybe your hamstrings feel like they're on fire. Just noticing without any judgment, accepting what is in this moment. And once again, walk your hands back up your legs, and one more time, taking Dandasana. And again, you may notice for our third time, might be really easy to sit up nice and straight now compared to what it was the first time. And then taking your right leg out to the side and bringing your left foot into your thigh, into your inner thigh for Janu Shirshasana. Inhale, sweeping up. Now exhale, leaning forward. Again, you might want to use your strap or not. Just come halfway, because this is pretty intense for your knee. And if you're finding it intense, you can add a little bit of height if you're having any pain in the knee, or just back off the posture. So again, lifting up, lengthening, reaching and stretching over your leg.
Pardon? She can't hear. I can't.
Inhale, come on up. Now exhale, turn towards the other knee, and tenting your fingers on the floor, just lower your torso towards your thigh, trying to keep the other buttock as close to the floor as possible. Inhale, pressing back up, and then take that bent knee, bang out the back of the knee. Draw the other leg in, and let's go to the other side. Sitting up as tall as you can. And again, if you're feeling any stress under your knee, you can always add a little bit of elevation. So your foot is right inside of your thigh, and the other leg's out to the side. Foot right in towards the thigh. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, lengthen and lower. Don't worry about grabbing your toes. If you are using your strap, you can use it to pull a bit. Please don't do too much. Like a fine Stradivarius violin, you don't want to tighten the strings so tight that they snap. So in yoga, we don't ask you to go 100%. 90% is great. Reaching and stretching. Imagine on the inhale, you're lengthening, and on the exhale, you're lowering. Could be just a thought. One more breath in. One more breath out. Inhale, reaching up. Turn towards the bent knee. Tense your fingers on the floor outside of your knees. Lift and breathe in to lengthen. Exhale, forward fold, lengthening your spine. I hope some of you might be practicing the Ujjayi breathing. The more we practice something, the more it becomes part of our field of awareness when we need to calm ourselves. I mean, alternate nostril breathing, which we did last week, Nadi Shodhanan, excellent. But it's not always appropriate for us to be placing our hands up around our faces when somebody's now yammering at us or we're feeling our blood starting to boil. We can calm ourselves with Ujjayi breathing. Nobody has to know. You don't have to make the sound. Inhale, bringing legs back or coming back up, and then bang out the back of that knee. Shh. And then draw the soles of your feet together in Baddha Konasana, releasing stress and tension from the inner thigh, and then lifting and lengthening, reaching up through the crown. Exhale, forward fold whatever amount you can, and this is in the folding where we begin to purge and release stress and tension from reproductive organs and sexual glands. So you're holding your feet, tops of your feet together with your hands, maybe using your elbows on the outside or the inside of your legs to increase the stretch through your adductor, inner thigh muscles. And then inhale, and let's come over onto our bellies for a moment for Sphinx pose. So in Sphinx pose, we are placing our forearms straight out in front of us with elbows underneath shoulders. So have a look that your elbows are right under your shoulders, your hands are straight out in front. Inhaling in place to elevate and lift through the neck, curving. And I know somebody last week, I think it was in this class, could have been the evening class. Yeah, I think it was the evening class, asked me about releasing stress from the jaw. And it reminded me of lion's breath, which is when you inhale, you exhale with your tongue out. So, you know, if you find yourself with a lot of tension in your face or your jaw, inhaling, and on an exhale, your mouth is open and your tongue is out. Just thinking, if somebody was approaching you and you thought, this person looks a little dangerous, try that one on them. They'll probably run the other way in a hell of a hurry. Because they'll say, that person's nuts. I'm out of here. Okay, now leaving your hands where they are, stretch your feet a little bit further back, your legs. Your hands are staying where they are, and you might just press up into a modified cobra. If that's not making your lower back happy, then stay where you are. But the reason I'm asking us to do this is because our adrenal glands and our kidneys, which are right below our adrenal glands, and our adrenal glands are what produce cortisol, adrenaline, and norepinephrine. They like a little bit of TLC from time to time, and back bends are brilliant for nourishing the kidneys. And in this class, of course, we're talking about the adrenals. And then lower your elbows and forearms back down onto the floor. And now just let your head hang. You might want to swing it in the no or the yes, whatever feels good. Let the weight of your head, again, release tension and stress out of your neck area. Shoulders should be mostly relaxed here, especially the neck muscles, the traps, those large triangular muscles that start at the base of your skull in the back, and they fan out along the tops of your shoulders and then attach to your thoracic as well as your cervical vertebra. And then finally, come on down onto your tummies. Bring your legs together. Your arms can be out at the side, shoulder height. You're going to lift your right leg up, bend at the knee, tip it over, and just let it fall towards the left side. If the foot touches the floor, okay. And if it's just hanging out in the air, okay. And just breathe here, releasing some tension that may have been acquired in our back bends. So just making that sound with the Ujjayi breath is a wonderful way to become very present and mindful in this moment. It's completely normal for the mind to want to ruminate about anything and everything and then bring it back over. But when we give the mind something to do, it can't ruminate. And then lift the other leg up and tip it over. Some of you may have caught the interview with a former CBC. Well, she's still there, Jill Deacon, occasionally doing different things. And she had breast cancer twice, and then she's also dealing with long COVID. But if you heard the interview, one of the things that she said, and everything she said was pretty much what I say, but she was saying it more in layman's terms. But the one thing that she said was, you can only have one thought at a time. You know, so when our mind will think between 50 and 75,000 thoughts a day, as I've said before, most of them are repetitive, and a lot of them are counterproductive. So we need to be in touch with what our minds are doing, because that's where the stress begins, right between the ears. And bring that leg back over, and then draw your hands underneath your shoulders. Take your hips back towards your heels for a moment, just to further release tension from the lower back. Lengthen the spine, relax your arms and your shoulders, and maybe just a little bit of rocking from side to side. And then come on up and over onto your backs for Shavasana. Totally stimulating, activating your parasympathetic nervous system. If you wish, cover your eyes, please, with either an iPad cover. If you have any clothing you can place over your eyes. So once you're settled, have your arms far enough away from your body that you feel your shoulders supported, flat on your mats, with your palms facing up in the open, receiving position. Perhaps tilting your chin just slightly towards the notch in your throat area to lengthen your cervical vertebra. Separate the biting surfaces of the teeth. Relax your jaw. Let your bodies be soft and heavy. As I name the body part, mentally locate it. Command it to relax 3 times with no movement. Feet, calves, knees, thighs, hips and pelvis, abdomen, diaphragm, chest, shoulders, arms and forearms, hands and fingers, backs of thighs, buttocks, lower back, adrenals and kidneys, upper back, shoulder blades, neck, jaw, lips and tongue, eyelids and eyeballs, forehead, scalp, brain. It can take 10 minutes or so to fully activate our parasympathetic nervous system. And it can take just the blink of an eye to turn on our sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight. Finding balance is key. Both are normal parts and necessary in life. Inhaling the life force long, full, and deep. And deep, exhaling. You can even open your mouth for the exhale and go ha if you want. Inhaling through your nose to warm, humidify, purify the air. Exhaling. One more long, full, deep inhalation through the nose. And completely letting go. Inhale, stretch your arms over behind your heads. Reach and stretch, point feet far, flex, point, and drop your arms down by your sides. Take a moment to roll over onto your side, bending your knees to protect your lower back, perhaps using your bottom arm as a pillow to rest for a moment. And then using your top arm, pressing yourself back up into a seated position. Chanting is a huge stimulator for the parasympathetic nervous system. I'll actually do this when I'm driving sometimes because traffic is crazy and I feel myself feeling a little too tense and I want to calm myself, so I'll chant. But let's just close our practice today, further activating the vagus nerve, because as I said, it runs through the larynx and the diaphragm. Inhaling together to chant Om just once. Om Shanti, Namaste. Have an awesome, calm day, and go Jays, go. Any comments or questions?